Hey, Donovan here, and if you own a martial arts school, this may be one of the most important videos you ever watch when it comes to acquiring new members. So if you could give me like your full attention, that'd probably be great. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and make understanding how you can acquire new members for your martial arts school super easy in your head. I'm going to share the straight line theory behind how we see acquisition for martial arts schools, and how we actually acquire new members for martial arts schools. So we legally guarantee 50 to 100 new members for martial arts schools in 90 days or less. We would not be able to guarantee this if we didn't understand acquisition, pretty well for martial arts schools. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to show you how I see acquisition. How do I see someone going from a complete stranger to a full paying member, and what steps do people encounter to go from being a complete stranger all the way to being a paying member? So I'm sure you may have seen, if you've watched one of our videos in the past, this crazy template here. It talks about how we follow up with people. It just goes through loads and loads of things, very, very complex. And I've looked at this and I've thought, how can I break this down in the most simplest framework so you can look at it and completely understand it? And I think we've done that here. So let me get rid of these words here. Let me throw them over there because that'll annoy me. And let me zoom out a little bit. So how I see student acquisition and getting new members into a martial arts school is just like a straight line, just like this. And I got this idea from a book I was reading where it spoke about the straight line approach for sales. And I've kind of taken this and blown it up to the entire acquisition process. So I see student acquisition as one straight line. We need to take people from being a complete stranger to being a full paying member, and not just take one person. We need to have a system in place that can take hundreds of strangers and filter them through from being a stranger all the way to being a full paying member. And we need to be able to do this as predictably as possible. We need to be able to do this. It doesn't matter if there's 10 strangers entering the process or there's 1,000 strangers entering the process. We need to be able to do this and take them from being a complete stranger all the way to being a member. Of course, we have drop off. Of course, not everybody goes from here all the way to here. But the better we understand each section, the more people we're going to have at the back end. So let me go first into detail of what most martial arts schools that I see do. So if we have a look here, the first step from taking someone from being a complete stranger to being a lead is simply a Facebook ad, a Google ad. Maybe they see you organically. That one is realistically just one stage of 4 stages to making someone a complete, paying member. But this is where most people spend their time. They say, I want low cost per lead. My leads are currently costing me £15. I want to get them down to £5. I want to get them down to £2. Whatever it is, we want to get that cost per lead down as low as possible. But sometimes that isn't the answer to your acquisition problem. So I've worked with schools in the past, years ago, when all we did was we just ran Facebook ads and gave our clients the leads, and then our client had to follow up with the leads. And I had clients who we generated 100, maybe 200 leads for, and then they never got any new members from those leads. But their cost per lead was like £1 per lead, £2 per lead. And then on the contrary to that, I've had clients who have had £10 leads, £15 per lead, but then 1 out of every 2 leads are turning up and signing up. So how is that possible? It must mean that the cost per lead isn't everything. And it isn't everything. It's just one part of 4 parts of getting someone to become a member. So if you're getting £5 leads, £10 leads, and you're not getting any new members into your school, this is not your problem. The cost per lead, the Facebook ad, the way that you're turning someone from being a stranger into just being a lead is not the issue in your entire acquisition system. There's other issues in your system, or your lack of system, that is meaning that you're not getting members out of the back end. So let me dive into this part here, actually turning someone from a lead into being booked in. That may be where your problem is. So let me dive into it. So what we want to do throughout this is we want to take someone from being a stranger all the way to being a member, but we have we have individual parts that we need to get people to be able to get them to be a member. So what I mean by that is we need to have someone go from a stranger to a lead. We need that lead to go from being a lead to officially being booked in. We need the person who's booked in to actually turn up at your front door. If they don't turn up at the front door, then there's no chance of them ever becoming a member if they don't turn up. So we need to take them from being booked in to actually being at your front door. And then we need to take them from being at your front door to being a full paying member. So we can't just focus on taking someone from being a stranger to a lead, getting the lowest cost per leads possible, because then you're not thinking about all of this. And these are our money makers. In some ways, some of this is a lot more important than getting the lead in the first place. You could get 10 leads and then 8 of them could convert because you've got an amazing part here. Or you could get 100 leads because this is unbelievable, but you haven't put any focus into this, and then none of them actually turn into members, and none of them even turn up to the front door. So we need to focus on each part, and if you can perfect every single part or have every part working pretty well, then that's what's going to equal more members. So we now want to focus on, we've used Facebook ads, we've used Google ads to take someone from being a stranger to being a lead. Now we need to take them from being a lead to actually being booked into a class. How do we do that? So let me scale this stuff up. I wanted it to be a secret, so let me scale it up a little bit. Cool. So as I said, this is the straight line approach. We tend to do things in this order, and each one of these steps takes them further down the straight line to get them closer to being booked in. So let's make this a little bigger. Wicked. So when we try to get bookings for our clients and we speak to their leads for them, these are the stages that we go through. So a lead comes in from Facebook, Google, organic, whatever. And the first thing that we do is we start our automations. So that's loads of text messages that we keep sending to the lead until the lead actually replies. If that lead doesn't reply, then we're not going to be able to take them any further down the line. So you are going to have people who never reply, never answer your calls, never answer your text messages, never answer your emails, and they just aren't going to go any further down this line. But we should still have something in place that just keeps contacting them, keeps contacting them, keeps contacting them until they do reply. So personally, we send automated text messages and emails to the lead to try and get a reply out of them. And this is where a lot of people fall up. A lot of people mess up by getting a lead come in, and then they never contact that lead. And that sounds stupid, but they're that focused on trying to get the lowest cost per lead possible that they'll contact that lead once. They'll maybe send an email, they'll maybe send a text message, they'll maybe phone, the person doesn't answer, so they say, oh, I'll move on to the next name, I'll come back to that one. And they never come back to that name, so they never get the reply because they never put the effort in to get the reply in the first place. So each little stage is very important to get people to the next big stage. So we put a lot of effort in through automated systems to get a reply. We get a reply, and then there's 3 questions that we tend to ask that moves us to the booked in part. So we get a reply, they answer, they say, yeah, I'm ready to get booked in, or I have a couple of questions, whatever. And the questions that we need to ask in order to make that booking a reality are, how old is their child? Or if it's an adult class, then we don't have to ask this question. But if it generally, most martial arts schools are aiming towards getting more kids through the door. So how old is your child is the first question that we ask. Based on that, we can kind of figure out which classes are an option. Next question we personally ask is, which day works best for you? So let me actually switch these. So if they say my child's 8 and we've got a class that's for children who are 4 to 8 and we've got 3 different options, then after that question, the next question we would ask is, okay, wicked, your child's 8, we've got a few different options. We've got Thursday at 6 p.m. or we've got Friday at 6 p.m. Which one works best for you? And we phrase a question like that on purpose, but this isn't sales training, but that's how we ask the question. We say, we've got Thursday at 6 p.m. or Friday at 6 p.m. Even if we've got loads of options, we just give them 2 options. And we say, which one of these is best for you? They'll give us which one's best for them. So they'll say, Thursday doesn't work for me. Friday, 6 p.m. is better. And we'll say, awesome. We'll lock that in. We'll get you booked in now. What is your child's name? And then we'll ask them what their child's name is. What a lot of people do is they either don't put any effort in here and never take people from being a lead to booked in, or they ask way too many questions and make it way too difficult for the lead to actually get booked in. For example, I had one client before who was sending people a link, and on that link they had to create an account, and then when they create the account they could book the class. That's just way longer than it needs to be. We don't need to overcomplicate it like that. Try to avoid sending people links. That's the lazy way. And people often go on links and then just think, I can't be bothered and never do it. We want to book people in for them. That's how we're going to get more people from the lead to the booked in section. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, but Donovan, if we're only asking 3 questions and we're not having a long conversation with these people, then some of these people probably aren't going to turn up. And that's right. Some of these people aren't going to turn up. But for most people, just asking a few questions and then sending a bunch of reminders, which we'll get to in a minute, is enough to get them to turn up. But if we can just limit the amount of actions that we're taking and get people from lead to booked in as quickly as possible, we're going to get more people to the booked in section. So you got to think, if we've got 100 leads and we make it easy for them to book in, we'll probably book in 50 of them. So 50% of people will go from the lead to the booked in section. That means if we have a drop off at the going from booked in to door, then we're still going to have more people who get to the door, even if we had a high drop-off rate from booked in to the door. However, if you ask loads and loads of questions, send links and make it really overcomplicated, then out of the 100 leads, we might have only 2 people booked in. And then if one of those don't turn up to the door, you've only had 1 person actually turn up to the door. So we want to make this part, we want to make it as frictionless as possible and as easy as possible to get each person to the next stage. And then chances are that's what's going to equal more members at the end. I hope that makes sense. If we're having, we want the drop-off rate basically to be as little as possible for as long as possible. If you overcomplicate this, you're going to have a big drop-off, which means at the back end, you're not going to have that many members. Hope that makes sense. This is what we pay attention to. We have automations. We send loads of messages. We get a reply. We ask how old their child is. We ask which day works best for them. We book them in, and then we ask what their child is so we can attach that child's name to the booking. We don't overcomplicate it. We don't need to know their address. We don't need to know any silly questions. That's all we need to know. So that's what we ask. Cool. So they've gone through this. They've given us their child's name. They've told us which day works best for them. And they've told us how old their child is, and now we've booked them in. So they are officially booked in. We've got a book in. We're happy. And then this is the sort of stages that we go through once someone's booked in. So number 1, we send them a confirmation straight away through text and email to let them know you have been booked in. You've officially been booked in, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Then 2 days before the class, we send them a reminder. So we'll send them a reminder through text, email, maybe Facebook Messenger, everything we physically can. We'll send them loads of reminders. Then the next stage, a day before, we'll send them another reminder to remind them about their class. We'll basically say, hey, your child's class is tomorrow. Bring water, bring some comfortable clothing. Can't wait to meet you guys. See you then. And then we send another reminder 4 hours before the class to just double, triple check and double remind them that we're going to be seeing them in 4 hours' time for the kids' class. Now, these reminders are extremely important. So if you don't have any reminders within your systems, get reminders within your systems. Come and speak to us. Let's get a real acquisition system in place and finally fill your martial arts school. So this is what we do. It's very, very simple. Take them from being booked in to the door. We just have automated reminders in place. So you don't have to do anything manually. And we're basically just going to keep reminding these people. When you actually book people in for a class, try and book people in no further than 3 days or 4 days away from like today's date. Because if you book people any further out than that, chances are they're going to forget. And then when the confirmations come through, they're not as interested anymore. So if you book people like 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, that's just way too long. We want to book people, in 3 or 4 days' time. Cool. Now I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to try and speed up. But we have now took, this lead, this stranger, to the point of being a lead. We've now taken them from the lead to being booked in by asking literally 3 questions. Now we've taken them from being booked in to the door. Of course, we've had a drop-off rate across it all, but we've made it as frictionless as possible. So we've had a good few come to the door. And then from the door, we now want to turn them into a member. Now, I'm going to be open and honest and say I don't own a martial arts school. So my expertise is this part here. But what I can do is I can share with you what my current clients do who absolutely kill it when it comes to sign-ups and the few things that they do to make sure that they get a sign-up. So we've taken people from being a stranger to being a lead. We've used Facebook, Google Ads, etc. We've taken them from being a lead to booked in, which is great. We've taken them from being booked in to the front door using various little bits along the way. So we've had a load of people now come to the front door. These are these key things generally that I see the winners doing. that equals a high sign-up rate of like 80-90%. Had one client the other day who had 9 people turn up. He had 9 people booked in, 9 people turned up, and we only ask a few questions, as I said. 9 people turned up, so 100% short rate, and then all 9 of them actually signed up on the day as well. So 100% short rate and 100% sign-up rate. So, you know, keeping it frictionless, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a high drop-off rate. Cool. So now you've had the person come to the door. Now we need to convert them and turn them into a member. The ways that the killers do this, the best people do this in the martial arts world is, number one, they greet people as soon as they come through the door. So I don't know if you've ever been to a gym or martial arts school or anything where you're standing around, you're waiting for someone to say hello to you. You know, it takes 15 minutes, 20 minutes. That's a bad first impression. You can't have a second first impression. So you want to greet people as soon as you see them. Even if you're in a conversation with people, someone, just say, 1 minute, mate, I just need to say hello to someone. And you say, hello, I'll be with you in a moment. So you want to greet people as quickly and as friendly as possible. Straight away, you know, when you talk to them, you want to find out their why. Why are they interested in martial arts? I'm interested in martial arts because I want to lose weight. I feel, you know, I'm not very happy about myself, whatever that is. Then you give them the amazing class, and then you want to remember their why, whether that's on a written form or in your head, and then you want to circle back to their why before you sign them up. So at the end of the class, you can go back over to them, you can have a chat with them, and you can basically say, did you enjoy your class? They'll say, yes. You say, wicked. I think just X amount of months, you know, you'll really start seeing a difference in your body, and, you know, circle back to the why that they gave you at the start of the class, and then ask for the sign up. Now, obviously, there's a few different things that you can do within this, but generally, this is basically how I see acquisition and student acquisition in martial arts schools. I know this has been a longer video, so I appreciate if you're still with me. But this is how we see student acquisition. All of these bells and whistles, of course, are how we personally do it and all the automated systems that we have in place. But this is how you need to see acquiring new members. Don't just look at, you know, what is my cost per lead? I want to get my cost per lead lower than that. Other people are getting a better cost per lead than me. Because if you're focused on that, I guarantee you still haven't got all these systems in place. And this is where, you know, these are the real money makers. You could have 10 people go from strangers to becoming a lead and still get a member at the back end because these systems are strong and these systems are good and these systems are proven. Or you could have 100 strangers turn to leads, not have any of these systems in place, and not get any members out the back end. You know, I want to make student acquisition and acquiring new members as easy as possible for you. And I want you to understand how easy acquiring new members is. This is it. This is literally it. Facebook ads isn't the whole story. You know, we need to do everything. Cool. Anyway, if you have any questions, shoot me a message. As I said, if you want to come work with us, that'd be awesome. We can literally put this whole system in place for you. We'll contact all of your leads for you and get them booked in. We'll do everything. We'll do the whole acquisition side for you. You won't have to worry about it at all. And then you can just greet people at the door and give them an amazing class and then sign them up. And be happy that you're paired with such an amazing acquisition agency. Cool. As I said, we legally guarantee 50 to 100 new members for your martial arts school in 90 days or less. We're that confident about what we do. Yeah, I'm not going to talk anymore, but we're making martial arts member acquisition easy. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is probably going to be either on Loom or on YouTube. Please drop a comment if you have any questions, or drop a comment and let me know if this has made it easier in your head. I love to see people's feedback, and I hope you have a nice day.